What is going on, everybody? Blake with the Linux Fraud, and today I wanted to talk about the Vivaldi browser, or really, you could almost say like Vivaldi operating system, because this browser does so many things. You can kind of either look at that in like a good way or a bad way. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a little much. I don't think that a browser needs to have all of these features. So this is the Vivaldi website, of course. You can get it for desktop, iOS, which makes no sense, Android, and then automotive. Vivaldi, before I get into it, Vivaldi is not a bad browser. I'm sure if I use this extensively, I could probably get used to it. But the thing is it has so many features. I don't want to say pointless, but a lot of the features that it has, I already have either an application or something that does that already on my system. Now you could look at that in a way that you could be like, okay, well, then I can just get rid of all these other applications and just use this browser. I think it kind of falls short in some areas. Some areas it does the same thing, just a different way. The tabs and the workspaces is kind of like a selling point for Vivaldi, but they kind of do the same thing. It kind of just seems like it does too much, right? Like a browser, I want a browser just to browse online, to look things up, to do a quick Google search. I don't need all these extra features. Now, a couple of them are nice, I'm not going to lie. There are some they're not bad features to have. The features that they have, odds are you already have something that you use to do that same task, right? So let's jump over here. Like, this is just a quick list of some of the features, right? So you can tile windows. They have workspaces. They have a translator right in the sidebar. They have a screenshot utility. They have a notes application, which I actually don't mind the notes. We'll talk about that later. They have a mail app and a calendar. And if we go back, we can go over here and look at, some of the stuff that they list. Now, I'll give it to them. Vivaldi is a nice looking browser. It looks sleek, it looks good, and you can actually customize it to like your heart's desire. You can choose the different color palettes and color schemes. You can choose custom icons, so you can really make it look how you want. Now, granted, it's not like Firefox where you can edit the user chrome.css file. I think Firefox is even more extensive in that area, but you can do some stuff with Vivaldi. You can group an unlimited number of tabs into two-level stacks. So my thing with that, and we'll get into it a little bit later, you can do this, and let's look at it. My thing is if they have this, like you can stack tabs on each other, then what's the point of the workspaces? It kind of seems like two features are doing the same thing. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to say it kind of seems bloated to me. I don't really like that word. I think it's kind of dumb. But there's just a lot of features. There's some things that do the same thing, like these tabs. You can set them in vertical tabs, or you can stack them up on each other. Actually, Brave just came out with the vertical tab thing as well. I don't know which one. I don't know if Vivaldi or Brave came out with that first, but yeah, it's a very customizable browser, right? And if I'm being honest, I think sometimes a lot of features or too many features is not a good thing. I think for the most part, if anyone is going to use this browser, they're just going to install this browser and just use it as it comes. They're not going to learn about tiling the web pages. They might not even learn about the workspaces or how you can, group your tabs together and everything. They're just going to use it as a browser. And right here is kind of a list of a lot of the things or some stuff that we've already went over, but some more stuff. Like they've got a calendar, they've got a translator, which if you go up here, you can go. Oh, look, it was already on the translator. It's got a translator built in right here in the sidebar. I think that's kind of cool, but I just don't find it necessary. Unless you're somebody who is translating words or translating between languages frequently, I could see that being useful. But if you're just like an average Joe like me, and I need to figure out how to say something like, "Where's the beef?" or something in French, then I'm just going to go to Google and use the translator like that, right? Because you can easily just type in, let's get rid of that real quick. If I go to Google and I just say, "Nice to meet you" in Spanish, it's going to bring that right up, right? I can do that in Spanish. I can do that in French, right? It already brings it up. I can do that with whatever language I want. If I was somebody that was translating languages all the time, yes, I could see how this built-in translator could be nice. But other than that, I just don't think the average person is ever going to use that. Maybe a one-off here and there. But in that case, I feel like that should be something that you're able to like add on if you want. It shouldn't just come straight out of the box, because I don't think really anybody's going to use that. Like I said, it's got a mail client. I have not looked at the mail client because I'm not going to put my email in that. I already have a mail client, right? Like I use Thunderbird, and maybe some people would, but I just don't see the majority of people using. First of all, the majority of people aren't going to use Vivaldi as a browser anyway. And the people that do, I mean, maybe it's such a niche browser that the people that do use Vivaldi will want to use all the features that come with it, because that's probably why they want to use Vivaldi. But I don't know, I just think it's a lot of features that are not needed. I will say the one thing that I do like is the notes. So right here you can see I wrote some bullshit ass notes, right? If we go in here, you can actually write in Markdown. Now, whenever I take notes, or if I'm writing things up for like a video or something, I either use Emacs or I use NeoVim. Most of the time I'm using Emacs because I like to write, like if I'm writing a longer, like either a script or an essay or something, I'm going to use org mode. I really like org mode. This, however, is a GUI markdown editor, basically. So you can go over here and you can hit text, and you can write in markdown. So if you know markdown, then you know like the this is a first header. I've already got one up there, but whatever. This is a second header. You can make list. I mean, I'm just retyping what I've already wrote up there, but you can write in Markdown here, and then if you click over on this visual tab, it will actually print out. Now, I like this, right? So I used to use Joplin as like my note-taking app back in the day when I first started using Linux. I don't use it anymore, but I really liked Joplin, how it was basically two panes where on the left you wrote in Markdown, and then on the right pane it actually formatted it out. You could see it written in Markdown. I really actually love this. Almost. That's a strong word, but I do. I really like the Notes app. I think that's one thing that I wish maybe like Brave and Firefox would add. My only thing is, though, is where's this getting stored? Probably on their servers, right? It would be kind of cool if they gave you the option to store your notes locally on your device. That's why I stopped using Joplin, since it's a cloud-based service. I stopped using Joplin, and I just started using Emacs and NeoVim for my notes because they're stored locally on my device. I like that a lot more. Regardless, I think just for like quick little notes, this is kind of nice. The workspaces, right? This is kind of nice as well. I don't know if I would personally use them, but I could see how they're very beneficial to people. So I just created these little random workspaces. So I have start page open here and the Vivaldi website, and we're on this one. If I go to work, and I can go over here and type in, I don't know, fucking Reddit, right? Make another tab, Google. So I got 3 tabs open here. And that's under the workspace. Now I can jump down to entertainment, and now I'm on entertainment, which basically gives me, it's a different workspace. So it's going to have completely different tabs, and I can be doing something totally different. I know that's the same website, but whatever. I'm just giving example. So got a couple of tabs open here under entertainment, and then social, you can be, I'm going to facebook.com, right? Or whatever. I think that's beneficial. Again, and maybe I know there's people out there that are way more busier than I am, so maybe they need like 3 separate workspaces or more. You can add an unlimited amount, I'm pretty sure, but I just would never use it, right? Like I'm gonna be on the same workspace. Like I don't need 4 different workspaces for multiple different tabs, and that. If I am going to have that many tabs open, I'll probably just use there's a there's a pretty popular extension for like Firefox and Chromium-based web browsers. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a tab extension that you can group a bunch of different tabs in and whatnot. But the only thing with that is you have to have your browser set to remember, like store all your cookies and remember your last place and everything. I don't do that. I have my browsers like refresh basically every time or it deletes all the cookies and everything once I close the web browser. But again, I can see the workspaces being very beneficial to some people. So like the notes and the workspaces, those features, I would actually give a point towards Vivaldi. So let's go over the tab tiling, right? If you hold the shift button and click on whatever tabs you want to tile, say if I just wanted to do those two, I could hold down the shift button, click on those two tabs, come over here. If I click on this little button down here, it's going to bring up a little menu. I can tile vertically, horizontally, or to a grid. Let's just do vertically. Bam, now it has Google and the Hacker News right next to each other. Now, I'm a fan of tiling window managers. I'm a fan of tiling my workspaces, right? The only thing with this is that and maybe this is just because I'm so used to window managers already, doing this would actually fuck me up because I've got two windows, right, that are tiled. Now, if I want to close one, I actually have to go down here and close this tab. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but me personally, I want to hit Super Q to close out a window, right? Because if I go here and open a couple of terminals, I'm going to hit Super Q, and that's my key binding to close a window. Again, I can see why this is beneficial, and maybe this is just me because I'm so used to my workflow already. I just wouldn't use this. Say I've got Brave open, right? And I go, I don't know, open up YouTube, and I open up, again, the Hacker News, whatever. If I want to, even if I have more than just these two tabs open, if I've got a tab or two tabs that I want displayed side by side, I'm just going to take this, drag it, and now I've got them tiled. Right now there's two separate windows that I can go back and forth, or I can look at one while I'm doing something on the other. The thing is I don't even do that, right? Like most of the time I'm not doing this because if I have another window open next to a browser, usually what I'm doing is like I've got a terminal open and my browser, right? Maybe taking notes on one, getting information on or from the browser. I don't usually need two websites tiled. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but I hope it does. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be useful. It probably would be in a lot of ways. But usually it's not like needing a couple of websites tiled next to each other. Benefits of something like a tiling window manager is having multiple windows tiled next to each other so that I can have a browser and a terminal and a text editor open, right? I don't need multiple websites open at once. And maybe that's just me. Maybe there's people out there that actually do. Now, one of the last things that I wanted to go over is Vivaldi actually has a screenshot utility. Now, if you've seen my video about my favorite screenshot utility, that's Flameshot. I use Flameshot all of the time, right? Right here, this is Flameshot. They have a built-in screenshot utility, which is very reminiscent of Flameshot or probably any other screenshot utility. This little camera icon, you can click on it, and it kind of shades Vivaldi, right? It shades the browser. What you can do from here is you can either pick full page or selection. If you go over here and click selection, it's just like Flameshot in how you can choose what you want to take a screenshot of. Now, the only thing with this is that you can only take a screenshot of the browser. You cannot go outside of the browser, right? Which makes sense. I mean, it's a utility that is integrated within Vivaldi, so it's not going to be able to take a screenshot of, your actual desktop. Again, a screenshot utility or a screenshot tool is very beneficial and very useful. I use Flameshot all the time, but I don't want to be just limited to my browser, right? Like if I need to take screenshots, I've already got a screenshot utility. Why would I use the one that's built into Vivaldi? Just kind of seems like something they figured, hey, fuck it, why not? Just throw it in there so that there's another feature. And this is kind of what I mean to wrap everything up, is that Vivaldi's not a bad browser. It's fast, it looks good, and it does have a couple of features that I think are very useful. If you were to look at all of the features of Vivaldi, like one by one, they're good features. That's why I have an application that does all of those, right? I have a screenshot utility. I'm able to tile my windows. I literally use a tiling window manager. I have an email client. I have a calendar client, right? Like I have all of these applications that do all of the features of Vivaldi, but it's on my system. It's not all integrated into a browser. I don't think it's bad. I think that some people probably like it. Well, obviously, I mean, they wouldn't be in business if people didn't use the browser. I can't imagine that the percentage of people who use Vivaldi as a browser is a lot anyway, because Chrome and Safari are like the only two that people really use. I just think it's it's too much. It's kind of like they're trying to do too much, right? They want to be everything. I think that an application can do multiple things and do them well, but a browser, I feel like, I mean, it's my browser. I use it to browse the internet. Everything else I have an application for, right? I don't need it all integrated into a browser. But that's my thoughts, not yours. If you like the video, consider hitting that like button because it really helps out more than you know. If you enjoy this content and you're not subscribed, like a bunch of you aren't, consider hitting that subscribe button because we have a bunch more content coming your way.